Who is Simon the Zealot? Well, in this episode of Meet the Apostles, we're going to meet Simon the Zealot, the silent apostle with a fiery spirit. So let's dive right into the story. The only thing that it tells us is that he was one of the 12 apostles chosen by Jesus during his earthly ministry. But what was Simon the Zealot like? What did he do? Why did Jesus choose him? And what can we learn from him? Well, let's find out. We know very little about Simon the Zealot from the Bible. In Acts chapter 12, verses 1 to 2, we read about how King Herod Agrippa decided to kill someone from the church. First, it shows us that no matter who you are, Jesus can use you. Simon the Zealot was probably one of the most unlikely people that Jesus could have chosen to be an apostle. He was probably uneducated, poor, and had a reputation for being violent. But Jesus saw something in him that he didn't see in himself, and he called him anyway. Second, it teaches us that even though we may think we are strong, we are actually weak. When Peter was arrested, he thought he was going to be able to escape. But when it came down to it, he was too afraid. He wanted to run away instead. But God had other plans for him. God can use our weaknesses to show his power. So don't be afraid to let God use you, even if you feel like you are not worthy or not qualified. Third, it reminds us that no matter what we face in life, God is in control. When Peter was in prison, he was scared and didn't know what was going to happen to him. But God had a plan to get him out, and the angel appeared to set him free. No matter what you are facing today, remember that God is in control. He can deliver you and he can use you to do amazing things, so don't worry. And he chose James, the brother of John, and he killed him with the sword. If you want to watch more videos like this, please subscribe and leave a comment below. Thank you, and until next time. But after he saw that this didn't hurt the church at all, he decided to arrest Peter as well. And so he put him in prison, chained him up, and sent him to be killed the next day. But before they could carry out their plans, something amazing happened. You see, while Peter was in prison, the night before he was to be executed, the angel of the Lord came and shook the prison to its foundation. Then the angel went to where Peter was chained and said to him, "Get up, Peter, and follow me." Peter did as the angel told him and was amazed to see the chains fall off his wrists. Then the angel said to him, "Go on ahead, Peter. Out the front gate is where you will find the place where you are to go." But once Peter realized what was happening, he tried to stay in prison because he was afraid. But the angel took hold of him and said, "Get up, you are to die." And immediately the chains fell off Peter's ankles as well. So Peter went out through the front gate. It was big enough for him to walk through without any trouble. And once he was outside, the angel disappeared. And Peter ran away. No. 1. His name. No. 2. His nickname. And 3. His death. Let's look at each of these. There are 3 things that we need to know about Simon the Zealot. And then in verse 13, we see the list of these 12 disciples, and Simon, who was also known as the Zealot, was one of them. And then in Acts chapter 1, verse 13, we see this list again. But here it says that there was an apostle named Simon Peter. So how do we know which Simon this is talking about? Well, Matthew's Gospel gives us the answer. You see, when Jesus called Simon, he told him, "You will be called Cephas," or Peter. This means that Simon Peter was the one who was called the Zealot. And since he was the one who was called by this name, it would make sense that he was the one who had this fiery passion for God. In the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 13, Simon is listed as one of the 12 apostles, and his name is written as Simon. But there is another Simon who was a close friend of Jesus. And in Matthew 16, verse 18, we see that Jesus gave him a new name, Peter. This means that there are 2 Simons in the New Testament, but they are not the same person. So if we want to identify which Simon this passage is referring to, we need to make sure we're looking at the right Simon. First, his name. Second, his nickname. In Luke 6, verse 3, we see that Jesus called 12 disciples to be with him, and they were called apostles. Third, his death. The book of Acts tells us very little about Simon Peter, but it does tell us how he died. So why is it important for us to know about Simon the Zealot today? And that's all we have time for today. I hope you learned something about Simon the Zealot.